tour, and Elton John was your team DJ, I think, after Melbourne, and your cheerleader in chief. I mean, there's so much going on. How, as a comparative new boy, but with so much responsibility of opening innings, how did you keep your own focus with everything there going on around you?
Partly because I wasn't totally involved in the party side of it. I was, and throughout my, I've got a great friend, Phil Bainbridge, who, he enjoyed the social side of cricket, and I enjoyed drink, but my focus was mainly on the playing side of it. Phil had massive more talent than I did, but I was boring, if you like, and I enjoyed playing cricket, and I couldn't play with any sort of ailment, so I needed to focus on the job in hand. And obviously the disappointments of '84 of missing out on a tour, I was desperate to do as well as I possibly could, and so my focus wasn't necessarily on a lot of late nights and drinking and socializing. It was doing what I needed to do and going out on the field of play and scoring runs, and so I think that was my focus, and it just, yes, of course, there were times when we would have a drink together and socialize and enjoy the tour, enjoy Australia as it was as a whole, but for me it was about doing enough socializing until that was it, and you move on to the next day's play and being able to do that.
Well, something else I'd read in the past, that you described Mike Gatting as your sort of captain, get up and go, who loved the challenge. Tell me a little bit, perhaps, about how he helped you as captain, because ultimately the team did focus. They knuckled down. They listened to Surya, who wasn't Surya, I don't think, at the time. And you got that magnificent result, and you piled on runs, and you did it. Tell me a little bit about how personally Mike Gatting helped steer you along.
Well, I mean, cricket is a very funny sport in that the captain has a massive...
Welcome back to Guerrilla Cricket coverage of the increasingly silly men's 2021-2022 Ashes, and this day 3 of the fourth test in Sydney has been the silliest of them all in terms of the ridiculous happenings before lunch, where England in 10 overs scored no runs and lost 3 wickets, and then Ben Stokes, who has a very, very injured side, and Johnny Bairstow, playing yet again for his place in the team, have put on 99 for the loss of neither of them, amidst which Cameron Green had Ben Stokes dropped off the off stump as the ball hit the stump and did not knock the bails off. England are 135 for 4, trailing by VVS Lakshman 281. I'm Knuckle Pandey, taking you through the first half an hour of the third session. I'm joined by Jeremy Messages Henderson and Ian Ford.
Hello. The cricket is indeed a strange game, isn't it?
Can you plug your mic in, please, Jez?
Oh, I'm very sorry.
To it while I'm moving around the room and then forget to plug it back in, so I'm sorry about that. It is a strange game, isn't it, cricket? I mean, there's every chance that we'll have another session of 10 overs and 4 wickets. You just don't know with this thing. If I was Australia, I'd be looking to bowl Cummins and Green straight after tea. I think Lyon was looking pretty ineffective, and I think Boland's sort of was like he'd lost a bit of steam. I don't think Stark was looking particularly threatening when he was bowling either, but I do think Green, every time he bowls, it feels like there could be something about to happen.
Certainly some uneven bounce, and Cameron Green has been able to get some of that from the Randwick end in particular, as did Mitchell Stark earlier. Ben Stokes and Johnny Bairstow stride back out to the middle, or Johnny Bairstow strides and Ben Stokes grimaces back out to the middle. Here they are.
Ben? Ben Stokes.
Johnny Bairstow smarter than the average Bairstow. Johnny Bairstow's been this good since daycare, so all put on your wigs and let the crimson hair flow. I want the Pope to give him his own large prayer. Oh, he can hit the sixes, although it's so dark. He'd even run a 10 at Bradford Park Avenue. No other Yorkshireman can compare. I tell you, Johnny Bairstow's smarter than the average Bairstow.
Bairstow's batted pretty well for his 42 not out. Ben Stokes has been very entertaining for his 52 not out, and it looks as though Nathan Lyon is going to continue his pre-tee spell. None for 27 off his 5. His second over, fifth over rather, with the best of the lot thus far. So
Yes. It's been interesting throughout the series how often the breaks have led to a wicket shortly thereafter.
That's fairly common, or rather, it's a fairly obviously observable thing, so people think it happens a lot. I don't know if anyone's ever checked.
Well, I'm sure it's happened a lot in this series. Because I've seen
wickets. Yes, wickets have fallen with great regularity in the series throughout.
Bringing up Nathan Lyon after his first ball, the first ball of the session, which is blocked back to the bowler by Johnny Bairstow, and there is no run.
He's Lyon. He's not too bad, that's true.
Bairstow on 45 off 71, has a slip and a short leg for company. Stephen Smith and Marnus Labuschagne. This is driven to Marcus Harris, a backward point, and there is no run.
I think I'm on socials, aren't I?
I think you are.
Yeah, I'm on socials.
This is very nicely paddle swept and nearly a brilliant catch from Stephen Smith. He has pulled off that kind of catch in the past where he's run round from slip to leg slip with the batter sweeping, and he anticipated that brilliantly and dived full length to his left, but Bairstow got just enough bat on it to get it past him and comes back for 2. Nearly a piece of brilliance from Stephen Smith.
If he had taken that, he would have taken it at leg slip when he was fielding it at offside slip. That would have been quite extraordinary.
I have seen him do that before in a one-day international. I've also seen him try and do that, and then Misbah Huq in a one-day international recognised what he was doing and changed his shot to a reverse sweep, putting it straight past where he'd just come from, which was a lot of fun. This one's fuller and flatter, and Bairstow pushes into the onside. There is no run. I think Bairstow might be well advised to stick to the hard sweep rather than the paddle sweep if Stephen Smith's going to keep trying to do that. This is Bairstow.
100 partnership, by the way.
Yes, indeed, 100 partnership, the third of the series, the first for England at least, the first not by Root and Milan. Bairstow clips this down to deepish set mid-on. The fact that the mid-on is deepish set is a minor victory for England, and they'll have to take the minor ones because I doubt they're getting any major ones.
You never know. Don't be so pessimistic.
Stokes is about to face up to his first ball of the evening session. Probably 2.5 hours. I imagine we'll use the extra half hour if light and rain allow. Stokes blocks this firmly into the offside, and there is no run. 2 runs off Lyon's first over. England 138, 3 runs rather. England 138 for 4.
Not much happening on socials, it's fair to say. Paul Wandering Asia has an analysis of commentators who aren't us. Fox commentary 1 out of 10, BT Sport 10 out of 10. After 2 test matches of complete shite from Aussie commentary, we're now being treated the very best. In fact, in my opinion, it's the best commentary for a long, long time. Us accepted, obviously, Paul, on any channel, TV. The one for Fox is for Isha. That seems an extreme reaction. I'm not sure that BT have been getting quite that many plaudits.
I listened to little bits of it. It's quite good because they put their own commentary team in place now after taking the Fox commentary and then muting it when Michael Vaughan was on. For the
who's on there now? Who's on Fox at the who's on BT at the moment?
Simon Mann is on there. Daniel Norcross is on there. David Gower, suggesting Jeff Lawson. A few others. It's been quite good. Patrick Cummins is
like 10 out of 10.
And Mel Farrell too.
Mel Farrell's a touchline reporter, or pitch side reporter as was Glenn McGrath before he tested positive for COVID. Patrick Cummins is going to start from the Randwick end, gets this one to spit from back of a length into the hip of Johnny Bairstow. He grins as it falls in front of him off said hip. There is no run off the Australian captain. Oh, lower and more central than hip.
There's a sort of inverse relationship between what sort of player you are and what sort of commentator you are, isn't there?
It's an interesting scale to pull out. I mean, there are a few very...
Well, I instance Mark Waugh and Jeff Boycott.
This is dropped by Bairstow into the onside for a single.
Counterpoint, Trevor Bailey.
Oh, fair point, Messi.
In terms of style or quality?
Well, Mark Waugh is the grimmest, grumpiest, dullest commentator, I have to say, but the superb batsman and great to watch.
I mean, he doesn't.
Jeff Boycott is opinionated and always interesting, if not borderline racist and all of those things, but a very, very dour batsman.
And Trevor Bailey was dour in both instances.
It's true, he was.
I couldn't stand him as a commentator.
Mark Waugh doesn't really watch any cricket, which made his appointment
that doesn't help.
as Australia's head selector all the more baffling for a little while. Two slips on the gully is... Ben Stokes ducks into a Pat Cummins bouncer, which he wears on the back of his head. It bounces through to Carey. There is no run. Stokes is running out of body parts to be hit on.
Yeah.
James Brayshaw was
off the back, in fact.
James Brayshaw was a non-expert. He'd never played Test cricket. He played some first-class cricket. Who also didn't watch any cricket either. It was very hard to see what he was doing in the commentary box. He was a terrible commentator.
He had a very, very screechy voice, James Brayshaw.
He still does, and he's a pain in the ass.
He's everyone's mate in the commentary box, I think.
Oh, a wild slashing pull shot from Stokes from a ball that rises across him and goes further and further outside off stump. He'd have had to do well to reach that, particularly with a dodgy side. That won't have helped. Through to the keeper, there is no run.
I get the feeling that Stark and Stokes are going to enjoy this together. You know, they're just going to throw everything at it and see where it goes.
Stark?
Yeah, he enjoyed the fact that... the Cummins. Cummins and Stokes are going to enjoy this. Yeah, all fast bowlers are the same, don't they?
It's a deep point in position for Stokes, who leaves this through to the keeper. Again, rising from Pat Cummins. There is no run. Ben Stokes desperately trying to stretch some life back into that side, which he injured bowling with his umpteenth bouncer of the series.
So continue with your commentators, Forthy. Who else do you throw into the pool?
David Gower commentates exactly as the stereotype of his batting was: relaxed and languid.
That is absolutely fair. Let me have a quick think about it.
Vivian Richards is spectacularly dull as a commentator.
Yeah.
There you go.
Last ball of the over is driven in the air, and Ben Stokes nearly manages to be caught at deep point, which would have been quite something. It bounced a long way in front of Nathan Lyon, but it did squirt in the air. They come through for a single. 2 runs off the over. England 140 for 4, trail by 276.
Nothing happening on socials, I'm afraid. Everyone's is either fast asleep or so overcome with England having a fantastic session that they can't think of any gallows humour to come out with for the time being. They're just keeping their powder dry until the next mini collapso. So please do send in your social media comments.
Yeah, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, we're everywhere.
We are everywhere.
Stokes was a bit early on that shot. It just maybe sort of popped out of the pitch off a length. It's a little bit of uneven bounce. He's the only real demon in this surface. Scott Boland, by the way, has gone off the field for some reason. Speaking of things coming onto and off the field, slightly disturbing reports that just as the England players went off for tea, something was thrown at them from the
stands. As Stokes and Bairstow were going up the steps, Stokes stopped and looked extremely challengingly at somebody in the crowd, and Bairstow had to almost restrain him. So I imagine that's what it was.
Lyon round the wicket and slog swept by Ben Stokes gave that a fearful thump into the pavilion for 4.
My name is Lakan. My name is Lakan.
A good meaty thwack over square leg.
I can tell you that Andy Zaltzman has pointed out that
Hold that
it's only
thought. Hold that thought
Sorry.
as Stokes defends into the onside, but there's nobody at regulation mid-on, so it's easy for them to come through for a single.
It's only the second time that a visiting pair in Australia have added more than 100 for the 5th wicket after their team were 4 down for fewer than 50. And the last time was in 1932-33.
That is a remarkable set of a concatenation of circumstances, as this is a little bit of turn from Lyon from outside off stump. Bairstow pushes into the offside. There is no run. That would have been the bodyline tour, 32-33.
Yeah. And some excellent alliteration, if I may say so, Knackle.
Stolen from PG Woodhouse. This is outside off stump and pushed by Bairstow into the offside rather. No timing, there is no run.
Concatenation sounds like a post-rock band from Grantham, on the other hand.
Oh dear, I like that.
Minor counties doesn't count. As this is pushed by Bairstow down too long on, brings up his 50. It's been a pretty good innings from Johnny Bairstow. 50 off 80 balls, came into the side for Ollie Pope in the last test match and has looked relatively assured. That is his 29th 50 plus score in test cricket. Well played, Johnny Bairstow.
Don't stop just cause you got to 50. Don't stop, treat it as a start. You can use this to get a better score.
That single. Stokes is on strike, comes down the track and murders this over extra cover. High into the stand, the Bill O'Reilly stand. They scatter and Ben Stokes smashes the first 6 of the innings.
Oh, I say, chap, give me any lip.
Further in front of square into the Trumper stand, and Trumper might have been proud of that shot. Jumping out violently and smashing the off spinner with the spin over extra cover. What a shot.
Amazing shot. Is that the end of the over?
It's the end of the over.
Yes,
11, 12 off it. England 152 for 4, 150 up.
I have got a few tweets now coming through. Mayank, don't worry, I'm here. Haven't missed a ball of the Ashes so far, so not going to give up now. Ravi Nair, England's not doing disastrously right now. What's there to tweet about? Mr. Currell for Margs, it's extremely possible an English fan may have thrown something at them considering the poor performance. Well, there's never any excuse for that, Mr. Currell.
Cummins is continuing, and this is a rising delivery into the ribs of Johnny Bairstow. Has a little flick at it, but not particularly trying to throw the bat at it, and it sails down the leg side, taken by Carey. There is no run.
Just going back
What
to
degree do you
Bairstow.
think Stokes is flailing the bat at it because he knows that his side might not hold out forever?
I mean, he's actually he's holding his shape very well on these shots. So I wouldn't say exactly flailing, but there's certainly a little bit of fuck it going on.
Yes.
As Cummins is in back of a length, but Bairstow jabs it down into the onside, fielded by Harris at mid wicket. There is no run.
I also get the feeling that Bairstow is actually enjoying himself for the first time in this series. It's not like he's besieged. He thinks, well, we're pretty fucked anyway. Let's make the best of what we've got available, rather than feel like he has to block out.
Also,
for 3 days
the ball
or whatever.
isn't moving extravagantly, and he is a pretty good player through the line of the ball.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Botham to Graham Dilly in 81. Let's have some fun.
On Hayden in place for Bairstow, it's Usman Khawaja. This is driven to Mitchell Stark at mid-on. There is no run. If you're not familiar with our term, the on Hayden, that's the fielder very close to the bat, basically next to the non-striker on the onside, just off the cut strip.
I think Hogarth got him there in 05, didn't he?
Yes, when the fielder was late coming back into his position from a loo break.
All right. Yeah, I'll wait till we've had this ball.
Cummins in from mid-crease, bouncer, which is too far down the leg side to be bothering Johnny Bairstow. No run.
while I acknowledge there are consequences for individuals and World Test Championship points at stake, I have to say that my general feeling is that this is a game of relatively little consequence in the scheme of things. And as a result, there seems to be a more relaxed attitude, is my general feeling about it anyhow.
Perhaps. I mean, the World Test Championship is fast becoming an irrelevance for England in this cycle, given the disastrous start they've had to it. As Bairstow fends at this awkwardly round the corner. That might prompt a short leg in Cummins' next over. He does take a single. England trail by 263.
Seems to be the voice.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the Barmy Army are back in the position they were when they first started, which is gallows humour in the face of crushing defeat in Australia.
But they've also been fantastic today in support of the Pink Test and the Jay McGrath Foundation. They've been tweeting about it and supporting it, and it's great to see.
Yeah, they do that. They have a series called The Bashes where they play against the Richies, the Australian fan group, in support of the Jay McGrath Foundation. That swipe dat from Stokes comes off the top edge of the bat, doesn't carry to Nathan Lyon at deep point. He lost his shape on that one, lost the bottom hand off the bat as well, comes through for a lucky 2. 3 runs off Cummins is over. England 155 for 4.
And at Forsyth, I muted the hockey because my team was losing, then missed a goal, punished for my lack of faith. Well, we've got you back now, I know. Mayank, yes, Stokes was either verbally or physically abused. I think it was just verbal. And Giles had to get in there with Bairstow to get him to stop a staring contest with the fans. Well, he had the staring contest. It was just a question of making sure it didn't escalate.
The last time that happened was in South Africa in 2019, I think it was, just before the pandemic hit. And it turned out that the Spectator had called him Ed Sheeran.
No, well, that's well. In which case, I completely sympathise with Ben Stokes. There can be few greater insults than that. Jay Grover, I'm off to make my first chai of the day, so await the collapse my absence will cause.
Oh dear, it's had an insult. I mean, I have no strong feelings about it, but Ed Sheeran seems a nice fella.
As every time he is spotted at the cricket, liked his cricket. Lyon is going to continue as he's outside off stump. Bairstow gets the slog sweep out. It's a remarkable shot, really. A short arm shovel, but that's gone miles over mid wicket. The fans scattered again in the Trumper stand. 6 runs.
2, 4, 6.
Big stretch, nothing more than an extension of the wrists. It's so strong over the leg side, and that's gone 5 or 6 rows back.
That was beautifully struck and so perfectly timed.
It did dip a little bit from Lyon. He's not quite getting the action that he usually gets on the ball on a pitch that isn't helping him too much, but I think Lyon's going to have to be taken off fairly soon.
Yeah, I think everybody else is playing a test match and the batsmen are playing an ODI.
Lyon now goes round the wicket and bowls this very short into the hip of Bairstow. They will come through for 2. If the aim there was to get Bairstow off strike, it didn't work. Nathan Lyon's now...
Used to see Lily Allen at the... Sorry.
Nathan Lyon's now gone for 50 and he's only in his 8th over.
I was going to say, we used to see Lily Allen at the cricket a fair amount. Shane Morton always used to go all weak kneed when he saw her in the audience.
There are a couple of quite cringy interviews between Jonathan Agnew and Lily Allen on sort of View for a Boundary. But yeah, she does like her cricket as Bairstow pushes this back to the bowler, and there is no run. Sorry, no, I'm thinking of Jonathan Agnew and Katy Perry, who of course has supported cricket in a number of ways, not least in the Women's T20 World Cup final. But yes, Lily Allen is something of a cricket fan. I think the insult was purely because Ben Stokes and Ed Sheeran share the same hair colour. This is clipped by Bairstow to mid wicket for no run.
Yeah, it's only DK Lily that I've been weak kneed about at cricket.
Nice one.
Lyon back of a length, and again too easy for Bairstow just to clip it around the corner for a single to Cameron Green down there at the deep square leg boundary. 1 ball left of the over. Stokes now on strike. He's on 66 off 90. Bairstow, having also faced 90 balls, is on 60. Don't know if Scott Boland's come back on the field after he went off a couple of overs ago. He just took a heavy fall in his follow-through before tee. This one slides on and hits Stokes right in front of the stumps. That didn't bounce very much, and Ben Stokes' entertainingly defiant innings is done. I don't think Stokes is going to review that, crashing into middle and leg. Stokes gone for 66 off 91. Nathan Lyon wreaks his Rawengi, and England slump to 164 for 5.
That's a plan.
Go OUT the window, go OUT the window, go OUT the window, 'cause OUT spells out.
Good little innings from Ben Stokes. 66 off 91, 9 fours and 1 6. Josh Buttler can provide some of the same, and this could be quite fun for a little while.
Indeed. No, we're not due a change, are we? Yeah, that was... It's funny, I was going to say I think this might be Lyon's last over. But there was a certain inevitability that Stokes was going to go sooner or later, given the devil-may-care attitude he had.
No, agree, Messi. Although that was
he's ended up getting out, not to smashing a ball and being caught at deep point or something, but to the non-turning off break that just skidded on.
I think it did turn a touch, actually.
Kept a little bit low, maybe. I'd like to see the release to see if Lyon was deliberately trying to bowl that in such a way that it might not turn. It does bring to the middle a man who is never too far away from playing for his Test career, Josh Buttler.
Pryor ain't no loss, 'cause we found someone Sutler. Okay, he can't spell Joss, but he also can't spell Buttler. Joss Buttler, just because he is Joss Buttler. 1 S and 2 T's, Joss Buttler.
He's actually batted quite well at times in this series, but he's also batted very badly at times in this series. Extremely well in the first innings at the Gabba in a horrible collapse, looked by far the most assured of England's batters. Then batted for the best part of a day to try and save the game in Adelaide, but also played a couple of very, very scratchy innings. His curious.
He had a terrible shot at Melbourne as well. Rather like his wicket keeping, it's been very curative the whole series.
Yeah.
He just hasn't looked happy at all, Josh Buttler, all series.
No, bar that first innings at Brisbane. As Cummins is going to steam in, but he's going to have to steam back again because Johnny Bairstow wasn't ready.
I have to share with you that Brett Mackay has just tweeted. He said, "Yes, it might have hit the stumps, but would it have knocked the bails off?"
That's a great point.
Very good Australian sports writer Brett Mackay. Cummins in to Bairstow. That's taken the glove. Bairstow runs for the single as it comes over the slip's head while wringing his hand. He's dropped the bat. That has hurt Johnny Bairstow. That has hurt him a lot. He's gone down holding his hand. That's going to need some attention. Ripper.
That looks like a broken finger, I've got to be honest, from how he's reacted.
God, it's hurting him like hell.
It's just a back of a length delivery, maybe cross seam, and it's risen, and it's smashed into his right thumb, right on the end of the right thumb. Wonder if that is a broken digit. Hopefully not for Bairstow, England's sake. But that is painful. That is painful.
Well, he's
to
got
watch
his
in slow motion.
He's got his glove off, and it doesn't look broken. The physio is manipulating it. Oh, there you've got it.
I'll catch up on a few tweets while that's just happening. They're beginning to filter in. Philip, England now have as many scores over 50 as Australia, so evens then? Yeah, I reckon it's evens. Mayank. Surely Bairstow is more Ed Sheehan than Stokes. Surely Bairstow is more Ed Sheehan than Stokes. Well, I think they knew either could have been targeted, neither would have flared up as a result. Mayank, where the fuck was the cricket the last 3.5 test matches? Mrs. Luigi Magpie, Stokes on an FU spree is a delight. It's like the very best of Wibble given the context of the game. Well, it was great fun while it lasted, it's fair to say. And Mayank adds, You'd think after all these years they'd finally make a good pair of gloves that doesn't lead to so much pain when hit on the thumb. It is a mystery, isn't it? Why?
Well, you can't have the padding
advanced
everywhere
to
because
this
it does
degree.
limit the mobility, and that's somehow managed to hit the least protected part of either glove.
They are so massively better than the gloves when I was young, which were mostly green rubber spikes on
Yes.
bits of glove. And
That's,
they were fucking
that's
awful.
what-
and slow-mo, you see that's knocked the thumb backwards. It's on the bottom hand. Usually the greater protection for the batter is on the
Ooh.
glove they'd wear on the top hand. He's getting a lot of work from the England physios out there. He's pretty red-faced and he's on his knees in agony. He's been given a couple of painkillers. He'll stay out there, but the full effect of this might not be known for a little while.
Well, interesting question. If, and it's a big if, Bairstow and Buttler both had digits so problematic that they couldn't keep wicket in the following Test match, I wonder who would keep wicket.
Ollie Pope.
Well, or Billings.
No,
He's out
Billings.
there.
Billings is going back to England to then
Oh,
head
of
out
course
to,
he is,
to the West
yeah.
Indies for the white ball internationals. It would be Ollie Pope
Yeah.
probably, who has kept with moderate success. Well, I say moderate success. He wasn't a complete disaster, but he wasn't very good either in Mount Maunganui in New Zealand.
Yes,
Well,
he's a
you know
step
that
up
thing
from dear Bracey, who had an absolute shocker. He's
who's
confidence visibly
also
disappearing.
not in the country. We can see that there is a swelling and a sort of livid colour to the base of the right thumb, which is being strapped very heavily by the England physios. It's got a sort of rather sickly orangey brown colour and swelled up. Do well to get that in the glove. That has
I was
clearly
thinking that,
hurt
yeah.
Johnny Bairstow a lot. Oh, that looks nasty.
You know that thing with club cricket when you all turn up and it turns out that the visiting team's only got 10 players, so you lend them one because somebody else turned up for once for your team? I mean, we've got a few spare keepers, Philippi and Inglis and so on. I'm sure we could lend you one.
All right, you're fine. We're good, thanks, Messi.
Josh Inglis was born in England and
That's true,
grew
yes.
up there a little bit.
A couple of social media comments on YouTube. Tony Martini's weather permitting, game over. And Ian Walker, Bairstow's best test score since his 110 in Colombo in 2018.
That was a really good innings.
Right. Yeah.
That was a really good innings on a trick that was turning
It's also
square.
also rather a long time ago.
It was, yes, the end of 2018. Yes, he's only scored. This is only his second 50-plus score in 27 Test innings, going back 2.5 years.
Enough said.
So he took a run then, didn't he? Which was good because at least he won't be on strike immediately.
Good point. You have to face the
No,
music
that's
sooner or
I'd be
later.
very surprised if the next one isn't dug in back of a length to Buttler and indeed to Bairstow.
Yeah.
Johnny Bairstow is going to continue despite obvious pain and perhaps further damage in his right thumb. It might as well, I suppose, keep going with the defiant, doomed valour, but he is in serious pain. Will probably affect his ability to grip the bat with the bottom hand, which is a strength of his. We'll see how that develops. Joe Root getting a sit rep from the physios. Buttler facing up to his first ball from Pat Cummins. This is on the pads. He clips it pleasantly, but can't beat Marcus Harris at mid-wicket. There is no run.
Up until this point in the series, there haven't really been a big problem with injuries, but Stokes, then Bairstow, then Buttler coming in today. It's beginning to resemble a First World War field hospital.
Ollie Robinson knackered.
Yeah.
Although he probably will play in Hobart.
I mean, I'm very much the schedule for Test matches is way too close together. It needs to have at least another 2 weeks in the schedule.
Bairstow, Buttler rather, defends this solidly enough to mid-off. There is no run. Yeah, I mean, there's basically 5 back-to-back Test matches.
Yeah. It's extremely demanding.
Wonder what changes Australia will make. Rotation of the bowlers, perhaps. It seems to be already written that Travis Head is going to come back in for Usman Khawaja.
That seems extraordinary, doesn't it?
Suppose Harris. Suppose Harris could get left out in favour of Kawaja. This is outside off stump and left alone through to the keeper. There is no run.
How can you lose? How can you leave Usman Kawaja out after that performance? That would be not only ridiculous but hugely ungrateful as well.
I mean, if you rotate bowlers, why can't you rotate batsmen? Give Smith or Labuschagne a rest, eh?
Want to get Marnus Labuschagne that elusive Ashes 100.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to be the one telling him who's going to be rested.
2 slips and a gully, backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg for Jos Buttler, who defends this, rises with the delivery, plays it quite well actually, drops the bottom hand off the bat and it goes down into the offside. There is no run.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of pace up at the moment, Cummins, isn't he? I think he's got to be encouraged by the way that ball came up off the wicket at Bairstow.
Jos Buttler.
Jos
Buttler facing up to the last ball. It's been a good searching over from Cummins. Defends it back to the bowler, and there is no run. 1 run off the over, 1 possibly broken thumb off the over. England 165 for 5.
Mayank makes the comment, I've never seen an already red face get quite as red as Bairstow's is right now. It's true. Really worked up a real rufusness. John Orford. Morning everyone from a freezing Madrid. It was so cold even the dog didn't want to go out. I remember the green spiked gloves from school with extremely thin cotton which hurt like hell when hit on the hand, as it always hit you where there were no spikes. I remember that.
The other thing about them, John, is that they were always they were in the team bag, so they were sweaty and probably had holes around the base of the thumb and things like that. They were, well, in my case anyhow, they were pretty shit gloves.
Nathan Lyon's going to continue after dismissing Ben Stokes. This is whipped by Johnny Bairstow. Bottom hand doesn't seem to be giving him too much trouble on that delivery. Mitchell Stark decides to slide tackle the ball rather than pick it up and hands it off to mid-on coming round. Bairstow picks up 2.
Should we have changed? I've lost track slightly. Should we have changed at the end of that, or is it 10?
We should
have done. We'll change at the end of this over. Apologies. Slipping a leg slip. This one skids on from Lyon from round the wicket. Bairstow punches up to mid-on off the back foot. There is no run. Maybe it's the thumb wasn't as bad as we thought it was. It certainly gave it a fearful thump. But maybe it's just heavily bruised, or maybe the painkillers have set in and Bairstow can't feel a thing. This is driven nicely by Bairstow, opens the face but can't beat Cummins at cover. There is no run.
I can tell you that the weather forecast has just been updated and is not bright for tomorrow, and the following day has deteriorated a little from where it was previously as well.
There is a chance of England getting out of this, still only 3-0 as Lyons in to Bairstow, who winds up and launches that. That's gone a long, long way back into the stands in the Bill O'Reilly stand. His second 6. That was even bigger than the first.
Oh, I say, champ, give me any lip.
Bottom hand seems to be working okay there.
Certainly did.
A huge hit over deep backward square.
He's making the best of having slow bowlers on too, I think.
Yeah, he does play the slog sweep and the paddle sweep and all forms of sweep very well off the spin bowlers. We've seen it in limited overs cricket and in Test cricket, particularly in a couple of innings in Sri Lanka. 8 runs off the over. The third 6 that Lyon's been smashed for over the leg side. This is a good delivery though, on off stump, push back to the bowler. There is no run.
I think he'd just been hit for a 6 by Stokes before he got him out too, didn't he? So maybe he's optimistic now.
Yes, he got hit for 6 at the start of that over and then got him at the end of it. Lyon in an awkward looking shot from Bairstow, really trying to get the bottom hand in line to open the face and drive it through the offside, but doesn't time it at all. It goes to Cummins at cover. 8 runs off the over. Ollie Robinson and a man with a physio bag are coming out to have a look at Johnny Bairstow. It's hard to imagine what more can be done for his thumb at this stage, short of amputation, and we will have that change as Forthy's going to take you through the next half hour on Ball by Ball. I'm going to summarise, and Anthony Condon's going to read the social media messages. England 173 for 5.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Messi. Hello, Anthony. How are you? Are you in Melbourne, Anthony?
No, I'm in Victoria, but yeah, not Melbourne, thank God.
Well, yes. Okay. Well, that's great to see you wherever you are in this fine state.
Yes.
Very sunny in Melbourne. Hope it is the same for you. Although we've had thunderstorms throughout the day.
Yeah, it's very tropical up here at the moment. I can almost swim through the air.
Yeah, it's got that crystal clear air. Well, it's been very interesting since lunch. England have moved from 36 for 4 to 173 for 5, which is, pretty good going. A new over begins from Pat Cummins, tearing in, and Jos Buttler, facing up to his 6th ball of his particular innings, just plays it nicely off his hips, no great danger, into the leg side, no run. England remain at 173 for 5. Knuckles obviously digging out some last time that England managed to sort of get from this position to overhaul Australia's total.
So my stats
Could be remarkable.
My stats guruing is not that good.
Cummins turns in, and again we see a bit of variable bounce from this Sydney pitch. That stayed just a touch low, but not too difficult for Buttler, who seems to have, when he has been in this series, has looked to be in reasonable good touch, and he plays that down quite nicely on the onside. No run again.
He's played a couple of very, very scratchy innings, sort of 3 off 17 type affairs, and he allowed himself to get stuck before then trying to break the shackles off Nathan Lyon and holding out in rather horrible fashion. But he's also played a couple of, he's a curious cricketer in Test cricket, Jos Buttler.
Leading edge, and he is out. Jos Buttler is out for no runs. He got a leading edge, and they had the short man in at cover. Very judicious piece of field positioning. Well done to Pat Cummins. The 6th wicket falls for England at 173, and any hope of further resistance is beginning to disappear by the minute.
Then he waddled away, waddle.
Stopped threw the shot too early. Ball stopped on him a little bit. A rather tame dismissal. Decent catch by Usman Khawaja. Pat Cummins has his first wicket.
So good fields positioning, good captaincy, good bowling from Pat Cummins. England, as they have done in almost every test, have awakened the possibility, usually for an hour or two, of being able to turn the tide of events, only for once the batsman in charge, be it Root or Milan or Stokes or occasionally Bairstow, to have disappeared, and now the long England tale is exposed.
We're into follow-on speculation.
Very much so.
Oh,
so
only now we're starting that.
Well, it is true. We did start it before England actually came out to bat.
Yeah. I think we have an appropriate tweet over here from Sam Phillips, who said, "Why is it that I feel England are doing well, almost winning, despite being 251 runs behind?" To which I imagine the answer is that he's only seen that 90 minutes of a test match for the last 10 minutes.
The answer is cricketing relativity.
Yes, indeed. We may as well go grab a couple more out here. Nick Martin, remember what YJB did after getting injured in the T20 domestic competition last year? Injured Johnny is dangerous.
Seen it a few times. Yuvraj Singh made a little habit of smashing the ball to all parts when injured. Gordon Greenidge, of course. Here is a man who can give it a whack, Mark Wood.
Yeah.
Do you know Mark Wood? Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick. So just a normal guy. Of course, except for just one thing. What? He thinks that he's a horse.
Right. What? Mark Wood manages to successfully counter that first ball. Mark Wood with an average of 17 and 1 Test 50 to his name, coming in at number 8 for England, which tells you perhaps all you need to know about the length of this English tale. He's a defiant cricketer and he won't back down, and amazing things can happen in cricket, but this does not augur well for saving the follow-on. Pat Cummins in again. Mark Wood has, to his second ball, the most almighty slog when surely the target must be to avoid the follow-on, and completely mistimes it out into the offside, but he's still there, no run.
Trying to go for the Couple Dave approach of saving the follow-on.
Yeah, well,
Mark Wood's
by this stage of this,
Mark Wood's not going to score many runs by hanging around.
Yeah, that's very true, but yes, that's true. That is true, but we've still got Johnny Bairstow at the other end on 69 not out, but we shall see. Pat Cummins comes in for the last ball of the over, and Mark Wood plays it successfully, negotiates it down onto the onside. There's no run. He remains yet to get off the mark. England 173 for 6 at the end of the 54th over. Anything happening on socials, Anthony?
Yes, Sam Phillips just responding, never mind. Messi Jeds, the meme that keeps on giving with the hope next exit sign. And Oxymoronica, who's replying to an earlier tweet regarding there being nothing to tweet about. Fast forward 30 minutes later, and yes, there is now things to tweet about. Just over on the YouTubes, we've got Jack H. Offspin really is a bit rubbish. Teams generally pay Lyon too much respect. IMO.
Hang on. Offspin is rubbish. Lyon, Ashwin.
Yeah. Yep. I think there's just a lot of rubbish off spinners.
It's not easy, but yes, 800 Test wickets between them.
Yes.
Very true.
Well
done, Anthony.
Green.
Just,
no, but we're all over to start this over. So over to you.
Fair dues. Thanks very much, Anthony. From one part of Victoria to another. Cam Green into his 8th over with the figures of 1 for 10. Not a bad 5th bowler to bring into your attack. Starts off with a loose-ish bouncer, which just sails over Johnny Bairstow's head. He's not going to be tempted by that. No run.
Here's Cameron Green.
We are the Cameron Green Appreciation Society. God save Mitchell Marsh's brand of all-round variety. We are the Cameron Green Preservation Society. His injuries cause all of us excessive anxiety.
Cameron Green's obviously decided to bounce Johnny Bairstow, because that's the second ball in which he's done it. Not quite sure of these tactics, but those are the ones he's decided to deploy. That one sails very safely over Johnny Bairstow's back. Doesn't look like he's going to be tempted by it. I don't know whether they got 2 men back on the hook. I imagine they probably have.
Push him back, maybe hit him again, and then sort of drag him forward with the foolish delivery that he might not quite get forward to.
Well, I have to say, Johnny Bairstow has taken up the gauntlet, whatever the phrase is, has seized the gauntlet. The ball is short again. Johnny Bairstow goes for it and hits 6.
I would have loved to have heard that with the sound up. Imagine the sound that made off the bat. A short arm swivel, and that's gone miles into the Daily Messenger stand over long legs.
Well, the cricket cliche at this stage is he's not going to die wondering, and it's entirely appropriate. I can understand this as well, I guess, with the tail starting at 8 and with a sore thumb. Johnny Bairstow reckons he's not got much to lose here. Plays a pretty loose drive to mid-on. There's no run there. Remains on 75 and the score on 179 for 6. He hasn't corrected his stance. Nothing much has changed. It's just that the gods have been with him today, I think it's fair to say.
Oh, the bat's coming through nicely. He's been decisive in everything he's done today. He's a pretty defiant character, Johnny Bairstow. There's never been any lack of spirit, even when his red ball technique has deserted him in the last few years.
Absolutely correct. Plays that one slightly on the up, but negotiates it between slip and point, and it goes away very nicely to the point, past the point, Bennett point for 4 runs. Another boundary to England.
I
negotiate is a nice verb for that shot, because I'm not entirely sure how it ended up there.
Again, there was an impression of looseness, it's fair to say. Both of Johnny's feet were well outside the leg stump when he played it, but his eye is in to such a degree that he reckons he can trust his hand-to-eye coordination. Again, takes 2 steps back, spoons it into the air, but again, fortune favours the bowled. It pops between the 2 fielders out on the onside. He gets away with it, and not only that, he keeps the strike. He moves on to 80, and the score on to 184 for 6 at the end of the 55th over.
Over on the social media, we've got Jacob Jaffa, Guerrilla Cricket, loving the character development here as Khawaja caught Buttler in identical fashion during the 2019 Ashes. And then we have a tweet from what looks like a fairly well programmed bot called Yoda, encouraging us to all click on a link that I really would encourage you not to. X-Pac Gamer is then... Pat Cummins should make a game of it and forfeit the second innings. He can say it was an attempt to make the game more interesting if they lose and really rub it in if they win anyway. And next time socials are quiet, you could tell this joke. All right, maybe we might come back to that one. And YouTube's been going off. I've now actually just lost the thread of that. Jeff Thomas has beer, which is good. Nasty.
Yeah.
Yep, well,
hold that thought for now. Hold that thought, Anthony. Thanks very much. As Pat Cummins starts a new over. Johnny Bairstow showing more and more of his stunts, takes almost 2 steps back there and whacks it through the vacant point region. Australia won't be too upset with that single because it brings Mark Wood on strike for 5 balls from Pat Cummins.
Mark Wood is not a completely useless batter, and he's got some quite nice shots every now and again. I do wonder if Bairstow might be wanting to take a bit more of the strike, particularly for Cummins, off Cummins.
I would say so.
This ends in a broken hand or a broken stump for Mark Wood.
It'll just be one more piece of unfortunate consequence for this sad innings so far.
Sorry, a broken fucking stump.
Okay, so this is interesting. Dug in short by Pat Cummins. Mark Wood now takes it on. Sails over the man at fine leg for a massive 6. Whatever Johnny Bairstow do, Mark Wood can match it.
I believe in miracles. Since you came to die, you sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you sexy thing.
Pat Cummins ended with a big smile on his face, and why not? We're into the slightly fun side of cricket now, it's fair to say. Pat Cummins comes in again. Short on the hits this time. Mark Wood plays a responsible cricket shot, swivels on his hips, plays it down to long leg, and comes through for the single, brings Bairstow back on strike. Rather reminded me of times like I remember Darren Gough, I think it was, hooking Ian Bishop with his eyes closed, not looking anywhere near the ball. And even Ian Botham at Old Trafford all those years ago, hooking Dennis Lilly without even looking at the ball. Very similar to how Mark Wood took on that ball from Pat Cummins.
Yeah, it was a good swipe from Wood, who, as I say, has decent hand-eye coordination.
That's on a length from Pat Cummins, and gets up quite steeply. And Johnny Bairstow, seeing the ball well, as a man on 81 off for 105. Wood plays it neatly down at his feet. There is no run. Joe Root seen in urgent conversation with presumably the physios on the boundary edge. Meanwhile, we can reveal that Scott Boland has gone to hospital for scans on an injury after a fall during his spell. 8 runs off 4 balls of the over so far. Johnny Bairstow faces up to Pat Cummins.
Australia have hidden their sub-fielder well. I haven't been able to identify them yet.
And that's another short pitch. This is a short pitch barrage at the moment from Australia. Johnny Bairstow, with his sore thumb, doesn't care. Saw the funny side of it, but on this occasion watches it go over his shoulder. Just pulled out of the shot at the last minute. And judiciously so, smiles back at Pat Cummins. Who won't mind this when England are still trailing by 224 runs?
I can only assume that
with 6
Bairstow's
wickets
thumb.
down.
I can only assume that Bairstow's thumb is nowhere near as bad as we thought it was when we initially saw the injury and the strapping and the swelling.
I think that's true. Pat Cummins in for the last ball of the over, and that one's a bit of a leg stump half volley. Maybe that's a little cruel on it. Flick round the corner by Johnny Bairstow, successfully keeps the strike. He moves on to 82. Wood remains on 7. England 193 for 6 at the end of the 56th over.
Bairstow, he was shaking a lot after he got hit. You know, it's that really like a really smarted, sharp pain. So maybe it's coming good now, and the magic spray and the painkillers are kicking in. Got some socials. Rocket Rod on the YouTube is saying the best thing about the Poms being here in Australia is watching the Barmy Army getting walloped on 2 Aussie beers. I think it's the sun that's a fun thing to watch about the Barmy Army. Andrew Williamson, I take back what I said about the Sydney pitch yesterday. If Johnny Bairstow is scoring on it, it must be flatter than a witch's tits. Paul Coffey, just checking to see who's winning. Groan. Jeff G. Thomas, Desert... Yes, sorry. Desert Orchid, Secretariat, Sea Biscuit, Nijinsky, Mill Reef, Red Run, Mark Wood. Please don't fall at first.
Cameron Green in for first ball of his new over. His figures ruined by the last one. Seems to be aiming at the Joe Root area of Johnny Bairstow. The whatever the euphemism is. It seems to have got him amidships there, although perhaps just a few inches crucially... Just up and just a few inches crucially higher than amidships, as it were.
Yeah, the
Johnny doesn't look... Johnny's not affected by that.
The Nutbush city limits.
If you've ever been to Australia, you'll find that every Australian, you'll know this, Anthony, knows how to do that odd dance to Nutbush city limits. Can you do it?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
And
I remember that. From I remember seeing that. Very, very weird.
Yeah. We'll pick up on that in a moment. Second ball, Bairstow negotiates, comes to the out on the offside. I think very briefly for a moment of a single, but turn it down. Yes, every Australian seems to know how to do the dance to Nutbush city limits. So whenever there's a wedding and the song comes on, they immediately spring into formation. Every other country in the world that doesn't know what the hell's going on.
It's a primary school thing for some reason.
Do you watch? Have you seen the show Derry Girls?
No.
And there's a similar.
Back to that in 1 moment. Johnny Bairstow fixed that into quite wide open spaces now on the leg side. They're encouraging him to take the single, which he duly does off the third ball of the over. He moves to 83. Mark Wood back on strike. So Cameron Green will have 3 balls to work over Mark Wood.
There's a scene in Derry Girls where a wedding descends into absolute chaos on the playing of Rock the Boat.
Right. Just noticed that it's Nisa is the outfielder.
Thank you. Should have spotted that beard anywhere.
I can reveal that my Cocker Spaniel Toby's just come back from his walk and is eager for more pigeon action. England need 23 more runs to avoid the follow-on. Whether it be enforced is another matter. Cameron Green into Mark Wood, 4th ball of the over. It's very full. Mark Wood plays it defensively out to mid-off and doesn't take the run. So this is, it's hard to know whether this is a crucial phase of the match, to be honest, with England having already lost the series. And even if they don't get the 23 runs, whether it'll be enforced, but I suppose there's a little bit of drama involved.
It could be the difference between 4-0 and 5.
It could. Well, let's wait and see what happens at Tasmania, shall we? Cameron Green in for the 5th ball of the over, and that is an absolute stinker. Would have been called 2 wides in one-day cricket. Sails past Alex Carey's despairing dive down for 4 byes. Slightly fortunate not to be 5 wides.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's one of those sets of byes that really... Okay, Carey did get a glove to it, and maybe slightly better footwork could have snagged that, but really more fault attaches to the bowler than to the keeper.
Absolutely. Last ball of the over. Will Johnny look for a quick single? It was uppish, and there's a big dive from the man in the covers, and it just eluded Labuschagne. An extravagant dive. They come through for the Well, they've actually taken 2.
Well,
I don't know whether that's wise.
Well, it's because Wood was on strike for the.
That'll be the reason. That'll be the reason. Thank you very much, Knackle, for correcting me there. That explains quite a lot. A loose shot from Mark Wood. They've come through for 2, and Bairstow retains the strike.
200 for 6, 200 up. England not too far away now from making the follow-on a moot point.
We've got Rocket Rod on YouTube letting us know the Nutbush dance is the bus stop dance, which I think might be right. That sounds familiar. Just bus stop, do the bus stop, and something like that. Yeah, that's which I think might be like off one of like Soul Kitchen or something from the 70s. So anyway,
we're deep into the weeds of Aussie culture there.
Indeed, but it is, it is a thing, that's for sure. We've also got Roger Melly on Twitter. Hello, good evening, and bollocks. I'm doing my rain dance, lads. Sorted.
England, unnoticed by me, have moved on to their 200. So well done to them. 200 for 6, and it looks as if Mitchell Stark has moved into the attack, with England still needing 17 more runs to avoid the follow-on, which can't be guaranteed with the length of this tail.
Well,
but Johnny Best.
I think they've made Nathan Lyon's taken his cap off now and has given it to Pat Cummins. So I think the captions have got that wrong.
They have. They've changed their mind, or the captions got it wrong, because Nathan
on the 7
Lyon,
feet, they're checking the ball.
Nathan Lyon is now switched ends to the Paddington end. Here he is.
He's Lyon. He's not too bad, and that's true. Lyon.
Nathan Lyon, who's currently sporting figures of 1 for 59, Leachian figures of 1 for 59 off 9. Bairstow and Stokes rather got after him successfully. He's got 3 men on the boundary. I think they know what Johnny Bairstow is going to do. Would he be able to resist the challenge, or would he be able to clear one of those 3 men?
It's also
certainly doesn't resist the challenge, but it's a big sweep along the ground down to the man at deep square. They've come through for the single. Johnny Bairstow is trusting Mark Wood, as you should at number 8, I guess. And he moves on to 84 and the score to 201.
I think against the spinner, that's perfectly fine for him to do that. There was I think at the start of Cameron Green's over, Bairstow had 2 back on the offside, backward of square, and 3 back on the leg side, as though Australia were getting into the period of trying to give him a single that he certainly isn't going to take. Even for Mark Wood, Nathan Lyon's got 2 fielders back on the boundary, 1 at deep square leg and 1 at deep mid wicket.
Probably makes sense, given Mark Wood will not be shy of having an almighty hoik. Nathan Lyon in. Slightly poorly directed wide of leg stump, and Mark Wood's able to deflect it down to the man at sort of a deep leg slip, sort of leg gully area there. No run.
Partnership's going at 7 runs and over. 7.6 runs and over.
Quite a lot. Mark Wood watchful, and just a fairly gently turning off spinner, but too short to be really problematic to Mark Wood. Plays it down. No run. Mark Wood settling to his task now. 9 runs off 10 balls. Will be fancying himself perhaps against Nathan Lyon. No, well, Nathan Lyon bowls that line where it pitches on middle stump. It's not going to cause Mark Wood any difficulties really. Just turns past down to that leg gully area by Wood. No run again. And
now I'd be surprised if Wood does anything other than block or slog. I think Bairstow's going to face the fast bowlers.
To that ball, Mark Wood rocks onto the front foot and just plays it neatly down. The way you're advised to with the spin down to mid-on. Again, no run. I'd be very surprised if they take a run off this last ball of the over, as Knackle intimates. Last ball of the over. Again, no problem at all. Line was better, but Mark Wood had no difficulty playing it out. He remains on 9, Bairstow on 84. England 201 for 6 at the end of the 58.
We've got Rocket Rod on YouTube. Watching the test live on Fox now, but can't stop watching you blokes. More entertaining. And Mank on Twitter, England might not need to pay for rain on day 4 and 5 now if these guys can figure out how to get England to 300.
a mark they have not passed all series. There is, of course, the possibility, I suppose, that England could just bowl very, very dry in the second innings and essentially do the equivalent of parking the bus in football parlance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think this will be our last over, guys. So make the most of us while we're still here. This dynamic trio. 2 parts Australian. How would you identify your origin? Would you say?
A Brit of Indian heritage / Indian, depending on who I'm talking to.
Man of the world.
That's entirely purely nationality. Biased in favour of cricket and also occasionally in favour of comedy, as Mitchell Starc replaces Cameron Green at the Randwick end.
That little exchange. The experiment of Cameron Green thumping it in halfway into the pitch has been terminated after a couple of overs. It's back to Mitchell Starc. Maybe he'll continue with the experiment. We're about to find out. Bairstow to face. That's a length ball, which Bairstow deflects nicely between two fielders down to long leg, but not enough to quite make the boundary. But he gets scampers. Nice couple of runs nonetheless. He moves to 86. England just needs 16 more runs to avoid the follow-on.
I don't know if they actually track these things, but Bairstow's got to be about the quickest runner between the wickets in world cricket. He was a sprinter as a teenager. He competed in sprint events.
Yeah, it's deceptive, isn't it? You wouldn't pick him out necessarily to the naked eye, but he really makes the ground. He really makes great time over the ground.
Strong thighs.
Second ball of Mitch.
Strong thighs, strong backside, powers those legs.
Second ball of Mitchell Starc's over on a good length, played down to mid-off by Johnny. No run. 203 for 6.
Big dude now, Johnny Bairstow. He's got big pecs and big forearms as well. He looks like, again, he was a rugby player as a teenager, and he does look like he wouldn't be terribly out of place in a back row.
He does. You assume that most of it's muscle, but you could be people could be forgiven for the casting one or two aspersions.
The cut of the jumper is not terribly flattering, but I think it is all muscle.
That's a nice way of putting it. Well, that's one of Mitchell Starc's periodic very full balls. It's basically a full toss on off stump, which rather took Johnny Bairstow by surprise. Jabbed on it, but it was a false shot, and he only just managed to get away with that one. It bounced more or less over the top of the stumps. Let's have a quick look at that one. Yes, it did.
That devilish Mitch Starc in-swinging Yorker. Reverse swing, maybe?
Maybe a touch of reverse swing, yes. And Johnny was a little bit fortunate there, but okay. He's deserved to have a little bit of luck. He moves on to, I think, 88. No, it remains on 87. Mark Wood will have to negotiate 3 balls from Mitchell Starc. England still 13 runs adrift of the world in the following. And on 204 for 6.
No real surprise that there's a short leg and 2 back on the hook for Mark Wood, as well as the 2 slips in the gully.
So I think we probably know what's coming. In comes Mitchell Starc. Okay, that's a length ball, no problem at all for Mark Wood. There hasn't been more or less any swing all test, and there's been really minimal. There's been some. Probably more or less what you might expect from a decent test pitch in terms of lateral movement, but certainly nothing extravagant.
No, the issue has been the more variable bounce that we've seen. We have seen the ball move off the seam every now and again from certain spots. Stuart Broad got the ball moving nicely off the seam in his spell. We've seen a little bit from Scott Boland.
As a man looking a little the worse for wear in a pink pineapple t-shirt, staggers down the steps, possibly causing a little bit of a delay, but we're off again now. Mitchell Starc in for his 5th ball of the over, bowling to Mark Wood, who plays it very nicely and correctly to point, but doesn't get any runs for it.
There's a whole group of them in sort of light pink short sleeve shirts with pineapple details on.
Notice when I was at Melbourne, that seems to be the thing in Melbourne. I don't know whether you can comment on that, Anthony, as the way everybody's wearing fruit-based shirts at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. I thought pineapples were a swingers thing, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
Well, you live and learn on guerrilla cricket. That's a pretty loose ball down a leg side half volley, more or less, to Mark Wood, who, whether wisely or not, decides to pick up the leg by. He remains on 9, but he also retains the strike. England move on to 205 for 6 at the end of the 59.
And we'll have a change.
I'll just wrap us up over on the socials for very quickly. Jeff Thomas on YouTube. When an Ashes series is won in just 3 matches, the remaining 10 days of play should become 10 one-day T20 games, a series called The Cinders. And with that, I'll pass you over to Jacob on Ball by Ball, Messers doing the social, and Tony doing your summarising.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. Good morning, afternoon and evening to our listeners around the world. I'm joined by Guerrilla Cricket's own Messi Jez and His Holiness himself, Tony the Bishop.
Bless you, son.
How are we, Tony? What are we thinking so far?
I'm feeling pious.
Is that something you got out of the glory hole, was it?
He's been fingering the stumps again, Messers.
Oh, that's what it is. To learn about Tony's glory hole, you'll have to become a patron and listen to the interview where he confesses all.
Well, then you're
making it sound rather racier than it is, but yes.
Guerrilla Cricket will have to start paying us, Knackle, if you want us all to become Patreon.
Oh dear. I've just retweeted a tweet from Beastie Boy where he says, interesting that Ollie Pope has just walked towards the practice nets at the SCG with wicket gloves on for the first time in the series. So, clearly there's an expectation that he may well have to take up keeping duties very shortly.
Well, you'd think
with Buttler.
It's the case that Butler's probably going to get dropped after what has been a pretty horrendous series, and I mean the wicket he just got out to, that is, as I tweeted, just terrible, because the same man caught him in the same position 3 years ago, and he's obviously not moved on since. So I think Butler's time may be up, and so Bairstow will keep and Pope will be the backup unless Bairstow's thumb is in worse condition than before.
Yeah, I would think it'd be unlikely that Bairstow's thumb's going to be comfortable enough to keep. Of course, it could be the wicket-keeper's equivalent of warming him up in front of the captain, and just sort of, hello, look at me, I've got the wicket-keeping gloves.
I thought I was watching Joe Root quite intently. He's been sort of away from the dressing room, seems to have been spending a lot of time in conversation with numbers of the backroom staff, sort of on the bench, as it were, as opposed to in the dressing room. I don't know what those conversations were about, but they seemed very long and intense and quite involved.
I presume it's to avoid a marauding Stuart Broad, who is cricket bat in one hand, spike in the other, ready to savagely dispose of some of the batsmen.
Yeah, well, that would also be no surprise after his overnight comments, which were deserved, to be honest.
When the Daily Telegraph said we needed a coal, Stuart, we didn't mean literally. As Nathan Lyon will return for his 11th over of the innings. He's 1 for 60 from his 10 so far. So England have played him pretty well. He averages 40 on this ground with the ball, so just about in line with what we might expect, actually. It will be Wood facing up to him as England are 205 for 6 after 59, needing 12 more runs to avoid the follow-on, and with world's best bowler, Scotty Boland, having only just returned from his scans and not in his whites currently, it would suggest that he might be in some trouble and they probably won't enforce the follow-on. As Wood slaps one through the offside, he was probably aiming a little less square than that, but it's running towards the boundary. A good effort from Cameron Green will reel it back in, and England will get through for almost the ideal result, actually. There they get 3, and it brings Bairstow back on strike against Lyon.
He's batted rather well, I think, as Wood, thus far. He's been sensible. If the ball's there to hit, he hasn't gone into his shell and just left it to Johnny. But he's defended well when he's needed to. I'm not saying he's going to be there for a long time, but he's been sensible within his limitations, and I've been quite impressed.
As Lyon bowls to Bairstow, who rocks back and defends outside the off stump, and there will be no run. I'm making absolutely no comment on the quality or otherwise of Bairstow's innings until either he gets 100 or gets out. I will not be held responsible for this.
No, we're all feeling the same way on that one.
So you're working on the cricket cat principle of results are what matter.
Exactly, as Lyon drops on a little short and it's tucked round the corner from Bairstow. A man who looks suspiciously like Travis Head, who now must be out of COVID isolation, is on the field. Usman Khawaja will be terrified, as Bairstow slaps one straight back down the pitch, and that will be taken in by Khawaja at long off, and they'll just get the single.
Yeah, yes, Travis Head is out of isolation. I saw that reported earlier today.
As long as he hasn't just snuck onto the field surreptitiously to try and end this England fight back by licking Johnny Bairstow's face or something.
Oh, I think the English would be relieved if that was the case, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say, he could have been bribed by England to do that.
As Lyon again drops a little short and a little straight, and Wood almost surprised by a little extra bounce, and he just tucked it into the leg side, all into the ground, so short leg never had a chance, and that will be the penultimate ball of this over. Wood's got one more to face as Lyon is in, gives that one a bit more flight, and Wood trots down the pitch and smashes him towards the long off boundary, and it will run away for 4. England 213 for 6 after 60.
Extraordinary how important getting to 216 or 217 actually has become in the context of a game that could well have more weather coming its way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you were the guys talking about the follow-on when 4 wickets were down. Nick Martin said they've been blowing it up Butler's arse for long enough, which I think is a fair comment. And I've just retweeted a picture of David Gower, which is a little disturbing, dressed in pink with a red headband.
Yeah, no, he has a pink
got
headband.
the Stuart Broad Karate Kid headband on.
Yes.
Well, it's more the conventional, straightforward band without the sort of ninja thing at the back.
As Stark his left arm over the wicket to Bairstow, who's back and defending into the ground for no run. I must say I'm heavily conflicted on the prospect of the weather, because on the one hand it could save the game for England. On the other hand, I now don't know whether or not I'll be allowed to sleep tomorrow night. And it will be very uncertain, and I will not know until the last minute, and that is ruining my mental health. Even more than England.
Yeah, you have to think, what's best for our listeners? What is best for our listeners? Best for our listeners is the show goes on, right? Sleep is for tired people.
Of which we all are numerous.
Would be most of us, yeah.
Except for the Australians, but you guys' messages included are due your time in the daytime after months of loyal service in the real summer.
Well, I tell you, getting up at 6 o'clock this morning is totally against my body's principles. So, you know, it's still a bit weird for my body.
As that's short and down the leg side, as Messi says, that is a shit ball, and Bairstow has a swipe at it, doesn't get an edge on it, and Alex Perry claims it comfortably down the leg side, but it was ill-directed from Stark, who seems to be having a bit of fun with that, seeing the funny side of something that's gone on, presumably how terrible that delivery was.
There was definitely a point earlier today where Australia weren't seeing the funny side, as Bairstow and Stokes just started to get them to worry a bit.
Brave innings from Stokes, actually, given his injury.
It was.
As that's wide and full, and Bairstow with absolutely 0 foot movement has a go at it, but nothing doing on that one, as we see pictures of the umpire running, the fourth umpire I think that is, kind of running around Australia's dressing room, presumably asking how Scott Boland is. Also, I'm pretty sure Marnus Labuschagne, as he jogged past Mark Wood, tapped his bat, which Mark Wood could very much have responded with tapping his bat on Labuschagne's head, because he's an annoying little shit.
That's true. Well,
as that's short from Stark and pulled hard by Bairstow, but there is a man out there, so they'll just get through from the single. Bairstow moving to 89 from 121 deliveries.
the other weird thing that happened was when Buttler was so badly hit on the thumb and dropped his bat to get some treatment, Steve Smith picked it up to just practice batting at the crease. I mean, he cannot hold himself, that man. He really can't.
Oh.
Makes you wonder how he survived in that lift without having his bat with him.
Apparently, Marnus Labuschagne was feeding him Haribos through a crack in the door.
He was, yeah. I thought they were M&Ms, but it was definitely sweets of some kind.
Oh, it may have been M&Ms. Other confectionery are available. As Wood will face up to the last 2 balls of this Mitchell-Stark over, which has been fairly innocuous so far, dare I say it, as Wood stares open-mouthed down the pitch. As Stark has come round the wicket to him, and Wood's driven that quite nicely, but only as far as Pat Cummins at a sort of wide mid-off. Dealt with fairly nicely by Wood. It was full, but not much movement on offer for Mitchell-Stark there.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Mr.
No, I'm not on comments, so you go.
Oh, that's all right. I was going to point out that the new ball 20 overs away. So England want to try and, if they do get past, which it looks like they will, the follow-on target, they need to try and tuck in before that new ball comes.
As that's whipped down the leg side by Wood, and it will go through to the man Nathan Lyon, in fact, at fine leg, running round. They have taken the single, so Wood will face up to Lyon next over. And now, since you interrupted him, Jez, Tony will read the social.
No, you're all right. I'm going to leave
it's
on that.
Carry on, Jez.
Anthony Condon says selectors are madly trying to work out how to replace Khawaja with Head for the second innings. Denny Crane says, where is Scott Boland? Has he really returned? And Knuckles said he's not on the field, he's having a fitness test. I've retweeted a picture of a massive beer snake, which seems to be the most exciting thing going on for a lot of the drunks in the crowd at the moment. It does seem to be the common link between Headingley and Edgbaston and the SCG and the MCG is beer snakes.
England now up to 2% in WinViz, up from 0.
A mighty swing.
Lyon is in, and Wood's just tucking that along the ground, just short leg. I will say about what was I going to talk about?
I don't know.
Well,
I've completely forgotten now. So I'll get back to that in just a moment.
If you'd like to tweet messages and let us know what Jacob thinks he might have been thinking about.
As Wood drives that back down the pitch, and Johnny Bairstow collapses trying to get back to his ground. Nathan Lyon gathers the ball and then steps over Bairstow's prone body, as if he just shot him or something. But no, he just hops over him, and I've remembered what I was going to talk about, incidentally, as Wood takes a single down to long on. What I was going to talk about was I think Australia's best option in terms of selection now is to drop Harris and put Khawaja to open, as he averages over 100 opening in international cricket, and then have Head as your number 6. Number 5.
It's pretty logical, to be fair. Yeah, that's a very logical approach.
I know if I was Khawaja, I'd rather stay at 5, but if that's the only option, I'd go for it.
Bairstow reverse sweeps, and he's got that one away, but there is a man out there, so they'll just get the single. It's coming in dribs and drabs from Johnny Bairstow, and I hope he hurries up because I want to call his possible eventual 100.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
A more left field option might be to see if England can get Marcus Harris on loan, because he may not have done very well, but
The follow-on has been avoided, gentlemen, as Wood reflects that in his attitude by taking an ungodly swipe at Nathan Lyon and mistiming it somewhat into the offside. But yes, England are now past the follow-on. 217 for 6 as
that
Nathan
could
Lyon
yet be exceedingly significant.
will bowl the final ball of this over, floats that one up and Wood clips it into the leg side. They will take the single, so Wood pretty confident. He's 19 from 26, so fair enough to be confident, batting at 8. Bairstow has some trust in him, and we move to the socials with Messi.
So Jeff G. Thomas on YouTube says, "My dear gorillas, to avoid mentioning Bairstow or Wood and seeing them fall, can we talk about magpies and Russell Bastard Crow for a few minutes? Consider my straws clutched." And he also says, "If Messages has a problem getting up in the morning, take a look at the spammers I've muted here on YouTube, because some claim to have a solution."
Russell is in the rudest of health. I can report that to you. He's very keen on fat balls. When I put fat balls out, which are not really intended for the likes of crows, he's in like a rat up a drain. He sort of hangs on to the
as we see
the fat ball dispenser.
As we see a groundsman of truly epic proportions. He's quite a muscular bloke with long pink socks on, hammering out the foot marks, and he's run off now with his large hammer implement. Don't get talking about magpies or other such avian creatures, or 40 will have a stroke.
But yeah, I mean, talking about fat balls and glory holes in the same session is a bit of a worry too.
Well, I would like to point out in both cases I didn't begin those conversations. Luigi is also in the finest and rudest of health. He'll pop by most mornings for his breakfast.
You didn't begin them, Tony.
I'm very fond of ham.
You didn't begin them, Tony, but it always seems to happen to you, doesn't it?
It does. He asked for it.
Well,
He's not been above a double entendre himself, let's face it.
No.
Stark will continue round the wicket to Wood. He's jumped wide of the crease, and that's a horrendous full toss down the leg side, and that will run away for 4 byes. There's absolutely no way you can blame Alex Carey for those.
No. I think he got a bat on it. It was 3 runs, to be honest.
It's a rank leg stump, outside leg stump full toss, and Wood maybe just got a bit of bat on that. Yeah, apparently he has. The umpire
he did.
That takes Wood into the 20s, doing better than most of England's top order.
Stark's not doing well.
No, he's not. Thundering in again. Shane Warne was always right in the end, as Wood attempts an uppercut at that short ball and completely misses it. I don't say that Shane Warne was right lightly.
Am I alone in sensing a sort of air of frivolity about the cricket at the moment? It just seems everybody's sort of intent on having fun and devil may care attitude around it.
I think there's an element of that, yes. But to be fair, I think when you look at the performance of Bairstow and Stokes, very brave from Stokes, I think Mark Wood has done exceedingly well to keep Bairstow company. It's just frustrating that so little else has happened around those performers.
As again, it's horrifically down the leg side by Stark, and Carey does exceptionally well, actually, diving a long way to his left to get 2 gloves with that and reel it in. That is poorly directed by Mitchell Stark. Partnership
well taken by Carey.
Absolutely, yeah. Partnership currently on 49, making it, slightly sadly, probably one of England's top 5 or 6 partnerships of the entire series.
Second highest total team score was 236. Highest, of course, 297 in Brisbane.
As Wood swipes that one off his hip, and it will run out to the man at deep mid-wicket, and they will get through for a single, but Bairstow has Now just 2 balls of this Stark over to progress his way through the 90s and try and nick back the strike from Mark Wood and get on to Nathan Lyon. Not all that far away from short leg there, I think that shot from Mark Wood.
Although, I mean, a catch at short leg would have been miraculous. It wasn't exactly popping up in the air.
No, it was actually clipped off his hip as a fairly legitimate shot there from Mark Wood. As the field spreads, England now have more than 50 more 50 plus partnerships in this series than Labuschagne.
So they've won the Ashes then, have they?
Basically, yes. Labuschagne has 5, England have 6 50 partnerships. Thank you, Knuckle, for the stats. As Stark short to Bairstow, who ducks under that one. Interesting to see what the field does on this next ball. Will they try and prevent the single? As we see Scott Boland, as I say, in his tracksuit, not his white, walking somberly, it would seem, back up to the dressing room. No news yet on if he's passed his fitness test, but the best bowler in the history of Test cricket will surely be seen again.
Yes, how shortly Supercars last.
As Stark into Bairstow for the final ball of the 63rd over. Bairstow clips that into the offside and there will be a single. Now I believe no, have they taken 2? They've taken 2. Bairstow onto 92. That's an interesting move from them. And then now I believe we will probably, depending on how quick this Nathan Lyon over is, have a change at the end of this one or the next. So let's throw down to Jez with social.
Well, my ank suggests Tony was thinking about fingering his stumps later after the commentary. You asked for it, Tony. Paul Marshall says, just Stokes and Bairstow saving England here. Shame Root didn't furrow. We might have got a decent total. Yeah.
There's been a change. Cummins is in.
Endless.
Don't call it a comeback. He was never really here. He played a couple of tests and then disappeared. His body broke down like a balloon. But he's back now, taking wickets. Watch the ladies swoon. Pat's gonna knock you out. Pat Cummins gonna knock you out. Pat's gonna knock you out. How out? That's out. Pat's gonna knock you out. Pat Cummins gonna knock you out. Pat's gonna knock you out. Pat Cummins gonna knock you out.
So it's now pretty certain this will be this particular commentary trio's last over, and Pat Cummins bringing himself on. Clearly thinking Nathan Lyon isn't doing the job. Field relatively spread for Wood, in fact. Wood on strike, 24 off 30, England 225 for 6. And Cummins is coming round the wicket. He's brought in a fly slip, there's a slip, a leg gully, a short leg, backward point, 2 men out on the hook, so you'd think we know what's coming here. And indeed it is short, and Wood walks away from his stumps and has a huge heave at it and completely misses it. That was I believe the term is agricultural sort of shot.
It certainly was.
Got to be careful not to put his back out doing that.
I should say that I think that last over of Starks was the worst he's bowled all series. It was a rubbish over.
As Cummins turns at the top of his mark to continue this short ball barrage, and that's well directed. Oh, and has that hit Mark Wood in the Joe Root sort of region? I think it might have done all in the stomach. He's almost Inzamam hucked his stumps by falling back over them, but luckily has avoided being out hit wicket, as only an idiot would do that, Josh Buttler. And that's caught him right in the lower abdomen, upper groin area. That is a harsh blow.
It wasn't actually that short. I mean, it was short, but it didn't get up as much as you might have expected it to.
It's kept very low for a short delivery, that, and then there it is again from Cummins, and Wood's taken it on, and it's sailed over the head of the fielder, and it's 6.
came to bat. You sixty thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you sixty thing.
Not to put a downer on the mood, but is this typical England to do all this once it no longer matters? Because they're actually batting quite well. As Wood takes it on again, it's high, it's long, it's 6 again from Mark Wood.
2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row.
Well, this is fun. The Aussie captain bringing himself onto bowl, and Mark Wood has taken a bit of a shine to him and decided to have a go. 12 runs off the last 2 balls. 6, so I can only assume .6 for the end of this over. As Wood walks away and walks back, has a flap at the ball. My predictions are on track as there's the dot. Now we need the 6.
This is like a T20 death over, isn't it? It really is.
Wood really trying to manufacture something. As you say that, Messers, that is a slower ball off-cutting bouncer from Pat Cummins with the old red ball.
Oh. That was spectacular.
And Cummins has come back.
Oh.
That's got to be a wide.
That's a wide. Well, just look at it, didn't it?
It's certainly a T20 wide. Yes, it is.
It's a wide. It's bounced in short by Cummins this time from over the wicket, and it's gone right the way down the leg side. So far that it must be called wide. By the umpire, who I assume is called Paul because it's a safe bet in this match. I know he's not though, and Wood has taken it on again. That won't go for 6, and it's bounced in front of Labuschagne at deep mid-wicket. Wood has nicked the strike and moved to 37. England 239 for 6, having avoided the follow-on. Bairstow on 92, Wood on 37, and I think we're due a change. So I will hand you over to Tony on the ball by ball, Ian Forth on the socials, and Anthony on the summary.
Thank you,
Yes.
Jacob.
Thanks,
Fabulous job as ever. Well, it is these two. Part 66, I think now this partnership is worth. That's some progress after they lost. England lost Stokes on 164. Buttler to really an awful shot on 173. These two have moved the score on to 239 for 6. The follow-on has been passed, and they're looking back on it with some disdain now. No, it might not quite have got that far.
It's an interesting tactic by England. You know, they came out at the start of their innings and tried playing Test cricket, and that didn't seem to work. So now they've switched into one-day mode because they're like, well, we can get 300 runs in one-day cricket, so why shouldn't we just play that instead of playing Test cricket where we haven't been able to do that?
Well, we have a very interesting change in that Marnus Labuschagne is going to come on and have a bowl, maybe trying to buy a wicket here.
Yeah, he's quite good at this.
With an average that is obscene. His name is unpronounceable. The selectors have no trouble. It's Marnus Labuschagne. It's Marnus Labuschagne.
And he certainly is a decent, capable bowler. He's going to be right arm over. He has a slip in place, and it's full, and it's tidily met by Wood. Push back to Labuschagne in his general direction. Bowls leg breaks.
Yeah, well, Lyon didn't seem to be able to get it to work today, so it's probably worth seeing if something else might work.
He comes again, a swing and a miss by Mark Wood, who was looking to leather that. The brain and the bat were probably thinking one thing, the feet were thinking something entirely different from Mark Wood there, and the result was it beat him all ends up and thumped into Alex Carey. This one's nicely cut though by Mark Wood. It bounced up, it's down to backward point. He will get a single. He'll bring Johnny Bairstow, who's in those nervous 90s, back onto strike. Given plenty of loop by Labuschagne. He hasn't taken a wicket for over 2 years, Marcus Labuschagne. It certainly is that generally that information, or is that in Test cricket specifically?
Test cricket.
In Test cricket.
Oh, in Test cricket, yeah.
Australia haven't played much in 2 years, so he probably hasn't had much of a bowl, I would say.
8 tests, we've said many times. Well, 8
but he has played this role.
England. This one's nicely forward, pushed away into the offside. Sorry, Anthony.
No, I was breaking up for you to call the ball. He has played this role on occasion before, where you can't get, you're just looking for the wicket.
And he comes on the drive by Bairstow, driven straight to extra cover, no run.
Yeah, looking for that wicket, and he comes in and just manages to get one to pop up off a glove or something like that. It's and he's getting turned when he manages to get it.
He is. He's trying to give it plenty of flight. This one is steered really wide of mid-off, where it's fielded by Nessa, who is on. Now, who is Michael Nessa on for?
Still would be for Boland, I would
for Boland, of course he is, yeah. Because Boland,
who is back and bowling in the nets.
But they seem to be rotating, because we had Head on earlier, didn't we? And we have Nessa.
Is that the end of the over?
No, I think we're just watching some highlights.
Yes.
It was the end of the over, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Fourth again.
Yes. Hello. Some tweets. Just W. Any news I need for a hat-trick? Not sure what's being referred to there. Gary Corkin making a grammatical point, I imagine. Never been more proud or prouder. Clowry of the County Jarvo. Now, Brian. Morning from a chilly -4 degrees Northampton. Looking like Bairstow would get his century, but why just now when the series is gone? Is it no pressure on him now, so he's batting for his stats? Now that's quite an interesting point. We might get back to that in a moment. Roger Melly, right, the follow-on's been avoided. Piece of piss, we got this. When do you reckon we'll declare? Spoken like more or less Roger Melly himself. And Brian, element of fun, the series is won. The weather forecast suggests broken play and they're drawn test. Does this game matter? Apart from building up your stats and maybe bonus payments.
What's Smartwood's highest test score? Is this one is short and is outside of off stump? It's given us what?
50. Oh. It is 52.
I thought it was. Who was? Did you get that about against?
You've reached the limits of my handwritten notes.
Okay.
I can reveal it is only test 50.
Yeah, no, I was pretty sure of that. But he's been tidy. Bairstow is on. It was versus New Zealand. I had a feeling it was New Zealand in Christchurch in 2018. He steps back and carves this. It's gone a high, but it's going to bounce short of Mitchell Stark, who is down there at third man. We'll get Mark Wood a single. He'll move on to 39. Johnny Bairstow 94.
And partnership of 71 off 72. So how many dot balls in a row did we have earlier today? About that.
53, I think.
Yeah, 53. So yeah.
For those on Boland watch, I can tell you he is now back in his whites and looks as though he is heading with some purpose towards the playing area of the SCG.
He has entered.
Cummins first is in, and it's steered down towards fine leg. Single for Bairstow. He'll move on to 94.
So we got Knuckle letting us know that it was Wood's high score 52 versus New Zealand in Christchurch in 2018. He and Bairstow put on 95 in that game. And Bairstow got a ton. So very similar situation.
It is rather. He's also Boland is also available to bowl. He's been cleared of that injury when he took that tumble. He is, as they say, a big unit, and he thumped the ground pretty hard when he went down. This one is top edged and
not out.
Taken, not out.
What's going on? That was caught. That was hit and
come
caught.
off the
What's
bat.
going on?
Well, okay. Cummins is having a look. Wood was looking to really pull that away. He's already done that a couple of times. I'm pretty sure it came off the shoulder.
Yeah, we're reviewing. So
it is being reviewed.
That was out. That was out. That was definitely out. Was that definitely out? I don't know.
Mark Wood seems very confident. He's taken his helmet off and is calling for a drink, which is his way of going, I have absolutely no thought that I might be out here. As we have
the helmet, I think.
It's off his, yes. It evaded the bat, thumped the helmet, looped up where it was comfortably taken, it must be said at point, but nonetheless, I think on the evidence of that, we're just waiting to see if there's a.
Well,
so
there is a mark. There is a mark on the bat, but it doesn't seem to be where the ball was going past.
The mark on the ball looks like it's there before it hits the bat. I think that's just I think he's good.
Nico will tell us.
I don't know. There's a little
sure
mark.
I
think he's out. I think he's out.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
Oh, they must have.
Comes off the top edge onto the helmet.
Oh.
And, we'll take back everything we said. That looks like Mark Wood's resistance and partnership with Bairstow will have to end, which is a disappointment for him, a disappointment for England, really, because it had been going really well.
Yeah.
But
that was. It's.
Tucker can't believe it, in fact.
Yeah, I was wondering whether the review came because they were confused because the way it looked from the overarm the bowler's camera was that it might have come off the bat and and the Wood's obviously known it's hit his head, but maybe they were able to pick up that nick, but just a paint scratcher, that's for sure.
Mark Wood genuinely didn't know. Taken by Nathan Lyon. I mean, they do say as a batsman you tend to know if you've nicked it. On that occasion, I genuinely don't think he had a clue, but he had also just been thumped in on the side of the head as a result of having the finest of thin edges from bat to helmet. And he genuinely would not have known that he'd got anything on that, and it was as surprised as anyone, as indeed was the umpire.
I was thinking that had the umpire's call gone the other way, that he probably would have been pretty justified in reviewing it himself. That would it was definitely there on the snicko, but not by much.
Well, it's going to be this man who is striding to the crease, has a Test 90 and a Test 1, and everyone will tell you, including him, that it's the one that is most remembered. It, of course, is this fellow.
Coming up, here's a face that I know. It's Jack Leach. Now coming up is Jack Leach. Oh, Jack Leach.
Right, should I do a few tweets if we've got time?
Yes, go for it.
Maybe not actually.
No, I would wait. There's 3 balls left of this over after that wicket.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beaten the outside edge of Jack Leach, and there's a spring in Cummins' step now. I'm feeling that that breakthrough could be hastening the end of this. Of course, the follow-on out the equation. That genuinely beat a very tentative little prod from Jack Leach, and it crashed into the gloves of Alex Carey. But a dot ball it was, 245 for 7. Cummins is in. Beautifully chopped by Jack Leach. Backward a point, and I think he's going to get 4 for it. Yes, he is. What a fine shot that was. played that delightfully, didn't he, Anthony?
Yeah, it's a nice shot. Nice shot. Jumping off the ground, so, rising up to meet the ball, not getting all the purchase. I do appreciate a batsman in glasses. It's always something about seeing someone batting glasses that I find commendable.
Yeah.
It mustn't be easy.
Well, goes back to the likes of David Steele.
Yes. The bank clerk who went to war.
Yeah, the bank clerk who went to war. As this one beats the outside edge and is through to Carey. That is the end of the 66th over, and we will hear for some social messages from the Birdman of Melbourne himself.
Indeed. Ravi Nair, have Australia just taken pity on us? As gentleman Pat Cummins said, come on, Auckland, enough's enough, but we're not bullies. All piggy labatis don't come to war for all. Even after all these years, my Australian accent is poor. I must apologise, Anthony. Stuart Helmer, to be honest, I wish more of them had batted for their stats. And indeed, Anthony Condon tweets, that's a terrible Australian accent, even before I'd done it. You can obviously read into the future. Very, very clever. Brian, selfishly, can be either lots of runs or a boycott light occupation and stuff all runs. Definitions of selfishly. And Brian, why all the poor bowling to the lower order? Only yesterday you were saying Australia bowled normally to the lower order rather than trying to bounce them out. What a difference 24 hours makes, I guess.
Well, it's going to be the leg spin of Marnus Labuschagne to continue. He has a slip for Johnny Bairstow, who gets a big front foot forward and meets that with the full face of the bat. There is no run.
Going with the top spinner there, Labuschagne. Jump on a bit.
He's in again. That's again flighted and full, but Bairstow watches it and guides it away into the offside and will get a single. Happy to trust Jack Leach. Bairstow on 95 from 130 balls, so it's been reasonably rapid.
It's rapid.
Yeah.
It's quick.
And then there was a point when they did sort of almost go into one-day mode, probably feeling that the best way to take the initiative back to Australia when your backs are so squarely to the wall would be to just give it a go, really. And they, to be fair, Stokes and Bairstow did that magnificently. Then Bairstow and Wood did that pretty well. Can Jack Leach continue? He has it.
Feeling it and seeing it. If you're feeling it and seeing it, then why not bat like that?
As this one is angled into Leach. For Leach, there's a slip and a forward short leg. And
really
250
coming around the wicket.
257 is riches indeed from 36 to 4.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
That makes it the second highest, am I right, so far for England this tour? Leach looks to whip that away towards fine leg and doesn't get any bat on it, slides down leg, taken sharply by Carey. There is no run, just the one run from this Labuschagne over. The bespectacled Jack Leach is forward, very, very tidily too. It pushes it away towards David Warner, who's there at extra cover, and there's no run.
Turn on that one. Yeah, it's definitely the game has changed from looking to be potentially a disaster to we might actually get an exciting last 2 days of cricket out of this. They're still a long way behind, but there's not going to be that much time.
It's definitely incumbent upon these two to try and see this through tonight if they can. Big shout from Labuschagne, who I think will have a review. Leach thrust a foot forward.
I thought there was.
Not sure. Have they called the review? I thought there was some bat on that.
Yeah. No one else wants it.
Only Labuschagne seemed interested, and he gave it the full Stuart Broad expression. But literally no one else seemed that keen. We'll have a look for you.
The angles are against.
The angles, he's sliding it, and I think Jack Leach may even have had a foot outside a leg stump. Umpire rifle.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem interested at all.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the whole scenario played out in Labuschagne's head, and probably nobody else was part of it. Was missing leg stump by a country mile,
Yeah.
Missing by 20 metres in cat measures.
Some tweets. Roger Melly, I believe the technical term to describe the batting that we've just seen is that they're having a tonk. The word tonk is much underused these days. I absolutely agree. Darren Mason, what is this?
To Bairstow, who pushes it away into the onside. Carry on.
Okay, Darren Macy, what is this? I'm actually enjoying listening to the Ashes this morning, and it's because of the cricket rather than commentary. It won't last.
Well, that's very kind. I think that's very kind.
I think so, yeah. Well, take
it. Backhanded insult?
Backhanded insult. 250 for 7. The Barmy Army's in good voice. That may be fueled by alcohol more than the delight at England's resistance, as this one is whipped off his toes nicely by Bairstow down towards deep mid-wicket.
Well, there was a
such speed, it will only be a single.
There was a genuinely impressive beer snake earlier today. He really filled up an entire bay in width. So.
Leach facing Cummins. Leach facing Cummins is bringing us all back to us from Headingley days, isn't it?
Ah, well, yes, indeed. Maybe Jack Leach will summon up that spirit. Maybe Johnny Bairstow can play the role of Ben Stokes. He's done a pretty good job of it so far. Next landmark we're all focused on as Cummins is in. Leach had to fend that off for all he was worth as it seemed to follow him, but it was down along the ground towards gully. And he survives.
Lucky on the angles on that one. That could have gone anywhere.
It took the glove, and Leach's head movement suggested he had very little control or idea indeed of what was going to happen.
It's hit under the glove on the handle of the bat. And it's probably mainly
sent the ball downwards.
In the under of the glove, yeah.
Cummings in. Leach steps across, plays that very tidily. Away towards Nathan Lyon, who jogs in to field. Would be a silly point, I guess. And there's no run. 251 for 7. Just the one single off this Cummins over. Bairstow on 96, but he doesn't have the strike. He's one shot away from what would be a terrific effort, but he needs to keep going. If England are going to make this a game and carry it further, they're going to have to keep these two at the crease for a while, one senses, as Leach again gets nicely on top of this, steers it to backward point. Nathan Lyon does the fielding, and there is no run.
It's quite a promotion for Jack Leach, isn't it? Coming in above Broadnans, and he was definitely below them in the first game.
Well, I always think one applies the night watchman principle. Oh no, I'm not saying it would be time for the night watchman, but of those three, who would you choose to send in as a night watchman? And you'd definitely pick Jack Leach, wouldn't you? As Cummins comes around the wicket to Leach, who is hurried a little bit, but plays it well enough, pushes it back down the track towards Cummins. There's no run. England are 251 for 7. Bairstow will have strike for the next over on 96. And Forthy will tell us who's with us.
Chris Drew is. Marnus bowled some excellent leg spin bouncers for Glamorgan. Comic timing. Paul Marshall, great recovery from 36 for 4, but it shows we can only bat in one day mode. Where has Test batting skills gone? County cricket needs to go back to where it always was as just one division. I'm still of the opinion that nothing in cricket matters except the Ashes. To which I suppose one should reply, tempora mutant et nos in illis mutama. I'm sure we'd all agree with that. The crunch. This is why England should only pick Northerners. And Denny Crane.
Labuschagne, it's in to Bairstow. Sorry, is this cuts? Yeah. Cuts back to the point. I'm not going to fall away.
Oh, no.
Fielded by Scotty Boland, who's come back from his hospital checkup to deny Bairstow that his 100 with that shot. He only got 2. I thought they
Importantly, did get back for the second.
He did. He still has a strike. Perhaps they could have taken 3 in. They decided that perhaps leaving Bairstow with the strike was the smarter move. In comes Labuschagne, drops it short. This one's pulled. There is a man at deep with wicket. I think they'll only take the one. Yes, they will. Yep. Bairstow will move on to 99.
It's
tense Tense. Johnny B.
I had a terrible flashback to Mike Atherton slipping, returning for that last run at Lords and being run out for 99 there.
254 for 7, 99 for young Johnny Bairstow. There's plenty of company around the bat. Reed Leach, of course, is on strike, having the single last time. Flicks wristily way into the onside. Dot ball on this occasion.
Can England last for Bairstow to get his century?
Labuschagne's in again. 3 men around the bat. Jack Leach guides this towards backward point. Mitchell Starkfield's again a dot ball. 254 for 7, 99 Johnny Bairstow. But it's Jack Leach who's facing. Labuschagne in, very tidily played and pushed again to backward point where Mitchell Stark once again does the fielding. Here's a slip, a leg slip, and a forward short leg, keeping Jack Leach company. But he's looked relatively calm and unflustered, but I mean he seems by nature to be a calm and unflustered sort of chap. He goes quite wide as he goes around the wicket. Labuschagne spears this into Leach, but he plays it very well indeed. And at the end of that over, it's just gone for 3, none for 7 for Labuschagne, 99 for Johnny Bairstow. England 254 for 7, 40.
Yes, Anna Forsyth says he's walking like he's got a hangover and he's afraid he's going to vom. Are we sure he's okay? I think she's referring to Scott Boland, or I hope so. Matt Fillets, Ashes centric thinking is one of the curses of English cricket. There's some truth in that. Sam Phillips looks mighty close for a no-ball. Can we re-review, referring to Mark Wood's wicket? That's interesting. Darren Macy, can't help but think that Wood's wicket was my fault. I know correlation doesn't equal causation, but the timing is highly suspect. Ewan Innes, can Bairstow get his 100 before the last 3 wickets fall? Well, he's getting closer and closer. I think we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more. Paul Marshall, now the follow-on has been avoided. We should be batting time, not playing in one-day mode. They may regret it if the weather isn't as bad as forecast.
Well, Cummins is going to be looking to Bairstow. There's 2 slips. There's a fairly conventional ring of fielders on the off side. I was just trying to get a better view to see what field they have. 2 slips, a gully, a point.
Mid on, mid off.
Cover, extra cover, mid on and mid off. So it's all pretty conventional. It's Bairstow stands tall. Cummins is in. Bairstow tries to cut, and it was a hair's breadth from taking an edge. It kept pretty low as well. And on 99, we still are hearts to Bairstow.
Yeah, that was Cummins is saying if you're going to play one day batting, I'm going to play 1 day bowling. It was that real environment.
I think it might have actually would have been an inside edge, wouldn't it? Johnny Bairstow seeing the funny side of it. And, again, I wouldn't say it's jocular, but it's amiable enough, isn't it, between them? And this one is steered straight to point. Again, no run. The England batsmen, the England team are all waiting. We can see Graham Thorpe, of course, has been forced into head coach duties. Josh Buttler.
The whole thing's serious.
Stokes is on the edge of his chair. Yeah, it has. That's Cummins, 2 for 64 for him so far. He's bowling his 20th over and he's bowling it to Johnny Bairstow, who's on 99. Around the wicket he comes. Bairstow, another swing and a miss. Somebody's dog is getting excited.
1 day bowling to 1 day field.
Is there not another pigeon in there, is there?
Yeah, that's the pigeon again, I think.
Oh, hang on, I'll put myself on mute for 1 sec.
Yeah, you might need to, as Johnny Bairstow's about to make his 100. Called with a dog all the way from Melbourne.
Fortunately, I've got my headphones on, so it's not setting my dog off today.
I've got to confess, I'm feeling pretty tense about this. Cummins in, another cut. This time he's got it. Johnny Bairstow punches the air, runs down the track, helmet is off, bat is high, kisses the England badge, His arms are raised. He's hit the 4 that has got him to 103. Fabulous effort under the circumstances by Johnny Bairstow. England, to a man in that dressing room, raise their arms, their bats, and they applaud the flame-haired Johnny Bairstow, who has really put a shift here.
Yeah, a real celebration of relief rather than one of joy or success.
60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Congratulations.
A bit uppish, wasn't it?
You are a centurion.
It was uppish, but I think we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he knew where that field was. Cummins is going to be in too. The centurion Johnny Bairstow, who leaves this.
Out of all of the balls to leave in the over, that was quite possibly the most playable.
Yeah, well, I think possibly that mentally that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
England need to keep this going. It'd be all too easy to let the adrenaline and the excitement of the ton. I mean, England are in a position here they can just keep getting runs on the board, take time out of the game, get closer to Australia.
Well, if he keeps batting like that to the way Cummins is bowling at him to this field, he'll be out soon.
In comes Cummins. That one does beat him. It's his 9th Test ton, Johnny Bairstow.
And immediately Cummins changed to come over the wicket.
It's his 2nd in Australia, his 1st in 3 years, and it's his 7th Test ton overall. So very well done him.
Is that the end of play?
I've got a feeling this might actually be the end of play.
Yes, it looks like it. We are walking off.
It is the end of today's play. Oh God, I'm going to hit my bed earlier than I thought I was. Well, there's a bonus as well. It's all going.
6:30. There we
plan.
go.
Well. Yes, indeed. At the end of this 3rd day's play, 258 for 7 are England. It didn't look like they're going to get anything close to that as Toby boxed his approval.
He's delighted, Toby.
Bairstow's magnificent effort. Oh, well, that's why he's got this time. Johnny Bairstow finishes the day on 103 not out. A day that, my goodness, went all too predictably and rapidly south early on for England. He was bowled by Stark for 6. Crawley didn't last much longer. He was bowled by Boland for 18. Dawid Malan and Joe Root came and went in very rapid order. Malan for 3, caught by Khawaja off the bowling of Green. Joe Root chased one and was edged to Steve Smith at second slip. Fantastic resistance from the injured Ben Stokes, who kept clutching that side, but he'd made 66 off 91 before he was quite clearly plumb LBW to Nathan Lyon. Johnny Bairstow, who he partnered with so well, a belligerent 103 off 140 for him. Sadly, Josh Buttler really looked a man adrift as he played an awful shot into spoon a simple catch to Khawaja in the offside. Mark Wood played above himself for his 39, including was it 3 sixes he hit? Yeah, he did. He really took the attack to Australia. Jack Leach has done what Jack Leach does, and he's on 4 not out. So at the close of 70 overs, England reached 258 for 7. The follow-on looking a distant concern as they've gone past that. 217 is what they needed. 2 for 68 for Cummins, 1 for 49 for Mitchell Stark, 2 for 25 for Scott Boland, who was off to hospital after that nasty fall. He seems to be fully repaired and in decent order. 1 for 24 for Cameron Green, 1 for 71 for Nathan Lyon, and an interesting little spell of 3 overs for 7, but without a wicket, for Marnus Labuschagne. Interesting stuff.
Indeed.
Anthony, what's your thoughts for today?
Interesting as always. Interesting first hour tomorrow. We've got 10 overs to the new ball, and so really I think it's what England can do in those 10 overs that will be the decider of this innings. I think the real question is going to be just how much rain we get tomorrow when it comes. It looks like it could be coming through hopefully later in the afternoon, but will quite possibly could stick around for the morning on Sunday. So I think a result might be out of the question here, but I think we're in the position where we get one of those tests with the team batting in the third innings is going to have a very difficult decision to make about when to declare, and yeah, if England can get to within 150 runs, then I think it starts. That will really start coming into the equation about how much does Australia need to put on the board before.
They're trail only by 158 at the moment. If you would just, I mean, for Bairstow and Leach, surely tomorrow is about carry on for as long as you can, isn't it? I don't think they're going to be thinking of anything other than that.
No, exactly, and like that 10 overs with the old ball is going to be prime run making time. So it'll be interesting to see. Do they come out and bat for the time, or do they come out and get the runs before the new ball comes along and does its thing? Will be the question. But yeah, I was also thinking that the four English openers the four English top order batsmen just seem to have been batting on a different pitch to everyone else. The English batting after, once Stokes and Bairstow came in, has looked pretty good.
It's certainly been entertaining, and we didn't think that would happen when we waited for the day to start and the rain to fall. We did expect England's top order not to last very long, and indeed it didn't. We probably didn't expect quite such a fine effort from Stokes, Bairstow and Wood, and we have been delighted to see Johnny Bairstow reach that ton. Fourthly, shall we have some final messages?
Yes, let's do that. Actually, the only thing I'd add to all of that is Sydney likes to serve up a century on the last over, doesn't it? I remember Steve Wars 18 years ago with a similar emotional reaction. I think, in fact, a test they went on to lose, funnily enough, so we shall see. There's a fair few tweets. I'll try and rattle through them.
Go for it.
Mog, shame on all you doom merchants who claimed England would struggle to make 60. Yes, thank you, Mog. Think you were the worst offender there.
I was going to say, there's going to be a tweet, isn't there? check his feed.
Oh my God, there's enough of them, Anthony. Yes. Just at that very moment, my feed decides it's going to renew itself. So just give me 1 second while I scroll. Actually, I'll go over to YouTube while it's doing that. Stephen Kelk, I remember Wood saying that during the first lockdown he spent a lot of time practicing his batting with his wife operating the bowling machine, if I remember correctly, then immediately says sorry for jinxing that when Wood was out. There's a bare wicket light roller joke set up there, but hopefully like Mrs. Wood, I'm not going to bite. The order says, good commentary, sir. Jeff G. Thomas, one thing that's really impressed me about this series is that gorillas can type the names of new batsmen before they fall. Next project, equally terse 3-second jingles. Emily Elizabeth, I should go to bed, but GC is so entertaining. I love the commentary. We love having
Thank you.
Isn't that nice?
Lovely.
Ian Walker, a Labuschagne hat-trick to deny Bairstow his century. It was not to be, Ian Walker. Gary Weissman is predicting a Leach century tomorrow. And AFL Charlie, brilliant century from JB. And apologies, we did get a bit behind because of all the excitement with Johnny last over there. But I'll see what I can knock off here quickly on the tweets.
I'll jump off Leach double time watch. I'll jump on Leach double time watch. I'm there.
Paul Marshall, can England actually get 300? Yes. Armchair Cricket Podcast finally an Ashes 100 for England. Comes almost at ODI speeds from Johnny Bairstow at a career-saving knock. He's kept England alive in this game. The Light Roller, thanks again for the great commentary. What a joy to seeing them bat for a whole day. I'll be joining you again tomorrow. Thanks very much to the Light Roller.
Welcome.
And he adds, incredible knock from Johnny Bairstow, putting pride into the badge at long last. Adrian Lowe, woof woof woof, morning chimps. And I think actually that is just about it.
There we go.
Well, now for some reason I saw something about a Hamid jingle. What was that?
I was shopping when it got played and I haven't heard it yet, and I want to hear the new one because apparently I wrote it.
Well, did you? Well, I'll tell you what. It's 2:58 8-4-7. England trailing by 158. It's the close of play. We'll play that jingle, Anthony, and then we'll slide from there seamlessly into the theme tune. So from all of us, it's good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Oh, come on, heartbeat. Oh, I swear you must leave at this moment. Just leave everything with that defense. Your innings, I confess, will entirely. Oh, come on, heartbeat.
Guerrilla crickets. Whoa. Guerrilla crickets. Whoa. Guerrilla
Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every crowd. Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, Guerrilla crickets. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules.